Welcome to Golden Mastermind Seminars Radio with your host, Jeffery Combs.
Jeffery Combs, Tuesday afternoon, Facebook Live. Good to be here with you on a 2-4 Tuesday. This is top tier content day. So if you're watching this content or you have a team, you're definitely going to want to refer this content to people in your circle of influence, because this is content that is not covered or understood frequently by most of the conscious world. The sobriety world, the higher consciousness world, very few people understand the term the payoff. And I'm going to break it down for you today to the best of my ability in the way I would do it in a 2-hour seminar. So I'm going to condense it down to about 20 minutes worth of content today to give you the inner wisdom of what it means to be in the payoff. Now, in context, very, very few people ever grasp this term. 2 words, the payoff. And Alexis Toledo is on today's Facebook Live. Alexis saw me speak last December, so she saw me speak in a live audience where I break it down. I've been covering the payoff for well over 25 years. I've been a speaker for 27 years, and I started doing a 2.5-day event called Breakthroughs to Success, and I actually had an exercise in there called the payoff. And I would teach my clients in a live audience what the payoff means. So if you've seen me live covering this content, it's an asset for you. And even today, I coached a woman who has seen me speak twice, and I broke the payoff down for her today, and here was the sound she gave me, which means she just had an aha moment. So I'm going to cover this for you today so you have a better understanding of what the payoff means. So I want to thank my superstar team of Josh Waxman's team, and that's Alexis. I see Rosalinda and Joshua. Thank you for being loyal coaching clients, followers, and friends for being here. So once again, for those of you who see me cover this, the payoff is very misunderstood and nobody writes about it. Nobody speaks about it. It's just not found in many books. It's occasionally mentioned in this little book by David Hawkins, and on page 31 and 32, he does cover it. He covers it right here on these two right here, 30 and 31 right here. So it's one area that it's covered right there. And then in the map of consciousness, Jared, good to see you this afternoon. On the map of consciousness, Hawkins mentions the payoff, and he has a section on it, but he calls it the experiencer. So once again, it's just not common content that is covered. Now, Diane Hunt is on today's call, and Barbara Williams is on today's Facebook Live. Now, both of these women have seen me speak multiple times, and they have seen me in live audiences break down the payoff. So here's the definition of the payoff. This is the science of it. The payoff is the lower self-ego. That's the reptilian brain. So if you ever watched the movie The Matrix, Neo was plugged in. He was plugged into the cortex. He was in the metacortex. Meta, which obviously you know what meta is, the cortex. And so the neocortex in that context is the reptilian brain. So when you are in a payoff, you're in the reptilian brain, and the reptilian brain is in this side of the brain over here. And it's near the amygdala. The amygdala is the pea-sized gland that searches for an emotional feeling. It's also called the reticular activating system. It searches for a feeling that's familiar. So if you live in trauma, if you've been traumatized, if you've been victimized, if you're angry, if you're resentful, if you're pissed off frequently, that's inflammation, that's inflamed family environment. So the neocortex of your brain, which in the movie, The Matrix, he's plugged in the back of his head. When he unplugs, when he figures out to unplug that plug, now he's in consciousness. And so that is the metaphor for it. So when you're unplugged from your lower self, you're letting go of the reptilian brain. The reptilian brain sees conflict. So in this level of conflict, you're going to attract the feelings that are familiar from your childhood, that are unresolved, to recreate the same situation over and over, to fulfill the neurochemical craving. See, it's the craving that you're emotionally addicted to. So if you grew up you had to be a codependent caretaker, and you had to separate your parents, or you grew up, you had to be the caretaker for a parent. You're going to attract to your reality a narcissist, gaslighter, ghoster to fulfill your feelings. And you'll attract a charming one. And you'll marry, mate, and date these people throughout your entire life until you until you hit the place where the pain is great enough. And when that pain is great enough, it's important that you recognize that you're in a place to separate your feelings from the events that shape them. Zarek, good to see you this afternoon. So when you understand this, when you begin to grasp the payoff, so it means the payoff is addicted to disappointment. It means recreate the situation to fulfill the same set of feelings to keep you disappointed. So in context, it means you will get your ass handed to you, you will get your ass chewed, you will be in trouble, you'll sabotage yourself to fulfill your feelings of not being worthy and not being good enough. And if you can't find someone to violate you, you'll violate yourself by criticizing yourself. That's your payoff. And this is what most of the world does, and this is what leads to procrastination and avoidance. They recreate the same situation to fulfill the same set of feelings, to fulfill the neurochemical craving of being emotionally addicted. And so this is why you can be in the right place at the right time. The mentors are there. And typically in this situation, you'll attract a great mentor a time or one, and then you'll criticize the mentor and blame him or her for your own low self-esteem. And you'll find ways to criticize that person, or you'll point the finger at them, because then what you've done is you've set them up to disappoint you, to fulfill the neurochemical craving of being not good enough. And this happens over and over. And then you're married, you're in this traumatic marriage, traumatic relationship, and then you find good people, and they're there to support you, and then you violate them. But you turn it around and you say they're violating you. That fulfills your neurochemical craving, the payoff. And I've seen this thousands of times. I've seen people do it to me. They will ask me a question, I'll give them the answer, and then they're shocked at the answer. How could you say that? How could I say, well, I'm answering your question? Well, but you don't understand. What do you mean I don't understand? I'm a recovering addict with almost 38 years of sobriety. I've had multiple rock bottoms. So if you ever found anyone in the world that would understand, it would be me, because I teach it. So I teach people to understand the payoff. You don't have to be in a payoff. There is no payoff, but the payoff is it fulfills your disappointment. But the ego goes, I don't want to be disappointed. You would have to admit to yourself that you're addicted to it. I coached a multimillionaire recently who I've coached for multiple years, and I coached him in a treatment center. He had another meltdown. He can't kick his DOC, his drug of choice. I mean, he could, but he won't, because he has to have these breakdowns and these meltdowns to make this big comeback. That's his payoff. It's a rock bottom to rock middle to the top, and then he's on the pink cloud, and he's like JoJo the Indian circus boy, and he doesn't have any humility. And so what he does, he keeps recreating the same situation to fulfill the same set of feelings, creating drama, trauma, overwhelmed feelings to fulfill these same neurochemical characteristics to keep himself hitting rock bottom, getting in trouble, having people rescue him, going back to the top, being the multimillionaire that he is, and then throwing his money all over the place to buy people. So this is a commonality. I've seen it many, many times. It's the up the down staircase that the emotional addict recreates to fulfill the same set of feelings. And this is why in sales and business, this is why you'll have that breakthrough month, that $10,000 month, that $20,000 month, and then until you're grounded in who you are in humility, that next month is a zero. It's a commonality. Happened to me, happens to many good people, and if it's happened to you, the pain is great enough. So once you begin to identify and understand what the payoff is, so the payoff is you get in trouble. The payoff is you recreate the same situation. The payoff is you avoid and procrastinate. And then when you avoid and procrastinate, then you're going, well, I don't understand why I do this. That's addict talk. That's monkey talk. That's the monkey brains that you live in what is called the neocortex, and the reptilian brain that keeps you in that same set of circuitry, those same set of circumstances. Just like in the Matrix, when Neo understands, neocortex, when Neo understands that he can unplug from the Matrix, he begins to access higher consciousness. When he begins to understand that the Matrix is a complete scripted world, then he has the opportunity to unplug from it. So you have the same situation. You can unplug from this matrix, from the trauma-based mind control that's going on in the world, but you have to be rigorously honest. You have to be so honest with yourself that you're honest being honest. But the minute you go back into denial, the minute you go back and hit your vape pipe, the minute you go into the closet and take a nip of your vodka bottle, the minute you go back and tell yourself that you have a candy bar in your purse because you're an addict. You don't have a candy bar in your purse because you're hungry. You have a candy bar in your purse because you're an addict. You put that candy bar in there to fulfill the neurochemical craving. Once you're in some level of anxiety, you want that instant gratification, and your candy bar is actually a healthy snack bar. It's a Cliff Bar, and you're led to believe that this is a healthy choice. It's not. It's GMO. It's genetically modified organism. It's trans fat. It's horrible. It's bad for you. These healthy foods and these organic foods, look, I mean, it's not what you think it is. So what it is, it serves for instant gratification. That's what the ego seeks. The ego craves that instant gratification, that cardio cocktail. It's like, please, baby, hit me right here, right now. And so it's so deep that it's deep being deep. And it will require you to have a deeper understanding of what it means to be in the payoff. And when you keep telling yourself, I don't want to be in this payoff, well, that's understandable. But when you tell yourself, I'm beginning to understand why I do what I do, now you can change the behavior. You can't possibly change the behavior until you access honesty. Because once you access honesty, you're in the energy of the truth. And in the truth, now you can move into a place understanding your character defects. So if you have 3 divorces, well, who's the common denominator? Or if you've been fired 3 times back to back, who's the common denominator? If you've been in 3 insurance companies back to back and they went out of business, what's the common denominator? That would be you, Chief. So that's why you have to look in the mirror in a relaxed body and understand that I am recreating the same situation to fulfill the feelings that I learned from my parents. So if you grew up with a set of parents or a parent who put you in a position that you were not good enough, if you grew up with a chronic alcoholic, if you're an adult child of addict alcoholics, if you're an adult child of a narcissist or narcissist, if you're an adult child of codependent addicts, and you are the caretaker, the giver. So if you become that son, now if you're the son who becomes the therapist, the boyfriend, the father, the caretaker, the chauffeur to the women in your family, what do you feel you're going to attract the rest of your life? You're going to attract your reality, the same situation, to fulfill the neurochemical craving that keeps you emotionally addicted to the same disappointment. If you're a woman who's attracted the same narcissistic man over and over to fulfill your feelings, take a good look at the common denominator, you. And so this takes a woman of great humility, a man of great humility, to look and say, I'm responsible for what I attract. And when you begin to be honest with yourself, you are breaking the ties. You are absolutely breaking the neurochemical bond that you are bonded to. So it's right here. In the neocortex, you're plugged into the matrix. Unplug it. So that takes you out of the reptilian brain. That takes you into higher consciousness. That takes you into a place of be, where you can be yourself. Now, most people don't know who they are because they've never had the opportunity to be. It's not their fault. It's a fact. I want to say hello to my good friend John Collins. John and I are around the same age. We've had some just amazing coaching. John just gave me a great compliment. John, thank you very much. John is an exceptional man. Thank you, John, for that. Tori, thank you for your great compliments. Barbara Williams, thank you for being my client. Barbara Williams is my longest standing client, next to Tom Nash, in the history of my coaching. Christina, that is amazing that you would say that to me. I'm very flattered that you reach out to me. And Sarah, thank you for your deep compliments. Christina said I'm the best. So here's what I will tell you is happening to me. I'm going to be 69 next year. Retirement is not on the horizon. So Barbara Williams has seen Jim Rohn with me before. Barbara's my dear friend from down the highway in Merced, California. Barbara hired me in 1999. So Tom Nash hired me in 2000. So they still are around my content. So they've seen me go through the transformation. They've seen me go through my challenges. They've seen me in ups and downs in my career. And they've also seen me at the peak of my game. Well, I'm going to promise you this. So at 68 years old, on the verge of 69, you will find the best Jeffery Combs you've ever encountered, because I am TNLing it. I am taking my consciousness to the next level. I'm going to start to live in a higher level of enlightenment. So when I coach my clients, I'll be in a different zone than I've ever given myself permission to. And I've spent 5 years taking my coaching to the next level. My coaching was always disrupted by speaking. So I'd coach 4 days, then I'd go out on the road for 2 days, and then I'd come back and try and organize my life after flying 2 million miles for 21 years. So for the last 5 years, I have absolutely focused only on coaching with the exception of two events. So those of you who hire me today, I mean like today, you're going to find someone I'm going to spend the rest of my life breaking down the ego is not the real you, and I'm going to spend the rest of my life teaching the payoff. So if I can empower people to understand that the payoff is the pleasure is not worth the pain, I will leave this planet knowing that I have fulfilled my destiny. So that is what I am here to do, is to assist people to understand what the payoff is. The payoff is recreate the same situation to fulfill the same set of feelings. And as you practice the skill of letting go, you are no longer the mind-body connection to the events that shape the feelings. And when that is you, then you are you and you are free. So this content isn't readily available. No one writes about it. There's only a few places that you can even find any access to it. And like I said, in this little book right here, The Ego is Not the Real You, it's filled with some real gems on this. And my content, from all the downloads or all the old CD sets, I never covered the payoff. I never really understood I never grasped what the payoff meant until I started to read the book Power versus Force. And chapter 8, The Source of Power, is where it began to click for me in 2007. And that's when I started to incorporate that content into the latter stages of my Breakthroughs to Success events, because I never grasped it myself until like the last 15 years. So Diane just said your content is like no one else's. Well, Diane, thank you very much. Diane has seen me speak around 40 times. Her and Matt Smith have seen me speak 40 times. So in the next, I'm going to be 69 in January. I'm going to speak until I'm 80, and I'm in exceptional health, or I'm going to coach until I'm at least 80. So those of you who are coaching with me, you're going to see the next level of Jeffery Combs in the next, like today, you're seeing it today. I have really been transcending the last few days. I mean, I've walked more. I've been more introspective. I've taken a little more time off with myself. I've read deeper content in books, and I'm strategizing. In those of you who saw JFK Jr., what he did last Wednesday, I mean, that's called the controlled opposition. So if you don't know what that means, you can send me a message and I'll let you know. But I thought that would happen in 2 years. It's happening now. So I know that my game has to improve now. I can't just be 90% of how good I can be. I'm going to be 99% of how good I can be. There's not going to be any coasting for me, because I know the world requires it. And it's going to take courage for these next. So when we get to 2028, you're going to see you're going to see what it really means. You're going to have a better understanding of what's going to happen at 2028 to 2030, and you got to be prepared for that right now in 2025. You don't prepare and execute in 2030, you prepare right now. You be your best self right now. You be your best self for yourself. You be your best self for your husband, your wife, your family. You be your best self for society, because society requires men and women of courage. The new millennium is the millennium right now. It's right here. NWO is right here. New World Order is right here. It's right in your backyard. It's right in your face. It's not subversive anymore. You're being mocked. You're being made fun of. You're being shamed. You're being guilted. You're being traumatized. I mean, you got to really step in your power in these next 2-3 years. And so that means you want to be able to access your highest level of consciousness. You want to walk away from any conflict you can possibly walk away from. If you have a career or a job that doesn't serve you, do your best to replace it or create a business or find your own peace. If you're in relationships that are traumatic, you can't exit them immediately, create better boundaries with them. If you continue to do the same thing over and over again, be honest with yourself that this is what I do, that this is who I am and what I do. Do your best to look at yourself with a level of love and a level of honesty. You can be honest by still loving yourself, but if you try to be honest and criticize yourself, it's a contradiction. But if you're able to be honest with yourself about your character defects, that's called acceptance. Once you move into acceptance, you have crossed the bridge. So when you move into acceptance, now you can move into willingness, because you can't change without being willing to look at your character defects and then cross that bridge. And once you cross that bridge, you're going to have to let go of relationships that are disempowering. You'll have to let go of people who seduce you into using drugs and doing things that aren't good for you. You'll have to let go of people who want you to eat bad food with them and guilt you into eating bad food with them. Oh, have a plate of this. Oh, have a plate of this. Oh, come on. It's just one time. Oh, I can't believe you don't eat dessert. What do you mean? I mean, you have to be able to be very grounded in who you are. And you have to be able to let people go. It's not that they don't serve you, but you have to be able to let people go that aren't in your consciousness. You can still, that's what non-attachment means. You can learn to be non-attached. Detachment comes from anger and indifference, where non-attachment comes from higher consciousness. So when you learn to be non-attached, you can actually be in a conversation, and then you're not responsible for someone else's feelings, and then you won't be seduced into validating, justifying, explaining yourself. And as you begin to grow into that higher consciousness of that, then you're not in the payoff anymore. So when you let someone provoke you into losing your composure, that's your payoff. When you've lost your composure and you're arguing and you're trying to make them wrong because you know you're right, you're in your payoff. When you procrastinate and avoid because of a story you tell yourself, that's your payoff. When you end up doing things that are completely out of character and you can't figure out why you do it, that's your payoff. That's your sabotage. Because the more you understand why you do what you do, then you are truly not the mind-body connection to the events that shape the feelings. Now, I can tell you right now how Facebook's algorithm has changed. I put out a post on Louise Hay today. I posted her book, You Can Heal Your Life. I bought that book in 1989. I started reading that book. That became my emotional rescue. That book did. I mean, I read that book so many times. I posted it today and nobody commented on it. And I looked at the same post 3 and 4 years ago. It had over 100 likes on it. I mean, that's where we are today. So it means that you have to be your best self today, because you have to be able to master how to create leads, how to be able to build a business, how to be able to let go of trauma bonds and panic patterns, and how to be your best self one day at a time, so that you're not in the payoff, so that the pleasure isn't worth the pain, and you are no longer the mind-body connection to the events that shape the feelings. So if you're on today's Facebook Live and you would like to add on to your existing coaching, send me a message. I have a unique marketing proposition. If you're a former client and would like to speak to me about one-on-one coaching, send me a message. Or if you're a first-time viewer and you've been wanting to coach with you for years, pull the trigger, send me a message. Breathe, release, and let go. I would be honored to be your coach. Have a great afternoon. I'll be back here this evening. Great attendance today. Thank you very much. I also say Greg Dwyer. Greg Dwyer, I want to let people know, Greg is on today's Facebook Live. Greg was my coaching client in 2001 and 2. Greg is going to be sharing some content. He's going to come from Connecticut, and he's going to speak at Millionaire Blueprint. So, Greg, good to see you here on today's Facebook Live. I haven't seen Greg since. Have a great afternoon, everyone. Breathe, release, and let go. Sophia, good to see you joining here late. Breathe, release, and let go. Tom Nash, I mentioned you, my brother, so have a great afternoon, everyone. Goodbye.